Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome back to Infinite Inspiration. Like always, we keep getting new people from different backgrounds and make our channel more and more interesting. इस बार जो हमारे गेस्ट हैं मेरी बहुत प्यारी सी दोस्त, मेरी मेंटर, मेरी लाइफ सेवर, बहुत कुछ है. So, not wasting too much of time, and I'll get you introduced to Sheryl. Hare Krishna, how are you, Sheryl?
I'm very good, Chanda. Really nice to be on your show.
Same here, same here. It is an opportunity that we got to have your time because I know you're so busy with your schedule, and getting time from you is like an honor. Thank you so much for that.
Absolutely my pleasure. It's always, I mean, to remove time for you is always a pleasure.
I know, I know. Be it any time, you never miss that. You always make me feel so close by giving your special time. And I feel fortunate to have you in my life, a beautiful angel in my life. I keep telling people and also on my show that I'm so blessed that I have angels all around me in the form of doctors, in the form of friends, in the form of relatives, and a nutritionist like you. Okay, so we would like to have your introduction. Where are you from? Your name? What do you do?
I am from Mumbai, so I've been born and brought up all in Mumbai and lived here all my life, and true blue Mumbaikar, so to say. And I have done my nutrition, so I did my post graduation in nutrition, and I got very interested in diabetes, and I think that also, they say that sometimes you don't make plans, God orchestrates your life, and that's what's really happened. And I ranked my post graduation, so I stood first. And because of that, I got opportunities to get interviewed by leading organizations, and one such organization was Novo Nordisk, which is even today the leading manufacturer for insulin. And I worked very briefly with hospitals, honestly, and I didn't quite enjoy it then. This is like 24 years back. And because I think the role of a dietitian was not really well defined. And I was not really enjoying the role. And, this job with Novo came, and I was very fortunate to land up with this job opportunity. And that started my journey, so to say, into diabetes. So got a lot of training, because when you do nutrition, you learn diabetes, but it's a very small topic. But the in-depth knowledge of insulin, how do you manage, what are the kind of complications, how do you prevent complications, and the entire management of diabetes in terms of education, self management of diabetes, all that is what I learned with Novo Nordisk. And I think that has been my entry into the field of diabetes. And it's been now 24 years as also a diabetes educator. So, from being a registered dietitian to a certified diabetes educator, an insulin pump specialist, I also did my hospital management. So I did my master's in hospital management. And just to understand, I like the thing, and I thought it will be a good learning for me. And it's really helping me. I think everything that you do in life helps you in your journey, whether it is in your personal journey or even professional journey, in terms of managing patients, administration, dealing with your team, dealing with your clients, etc. So, I always feel that learning is a lifelong process. And even today, every year I take up, one new course. I did my sports nutrition, I did onco nutrition. I got very interested. I did sports nutrition from an international organization, and now I've done it from India as well, because Indian sports is so different to sports that is played outside the country. And onco nutrition, because you see so many cancer patients today, and it's the numbers are increasing, and that's why I did a certificate course in onco nutrition as well. Then I did my IBS course from Monash University, Australia, because we're seeing a lot of people with IBS, which is irritable bowel syndrome. So, every year I make sure that I learn something new to keep me abreast with, the updates and the advances. I've also done my naturopathy. So I'm a huge believer in using kitchen as your pharmacy, in yoga, in yoga, so to say. And, I've done aromatherapy, acupressure, etc. Though I don't practice it so much, but very intrigued, very interested in this whole, system of medicine. And definitely do implement some of those learnings also in my clinical practice.
So, how did it start actually? Were you interested in helping people with health and all from childhood, or it just happened in a day? Like, sometimes you just
I
like
think
something and you want to do it.
I think as a child also, at least I remember my teachers. I was the first one. In fact, if anybody, did anything wrong to my friends or with my classmates, I was always that kind of a person who would go and fight, not sit down. So always there for my friends. I think that was always then. I think that something comes from your parents. When I was young, my parents have had a huge impact on my life, especially my father and mother, because they were very, very I would say extremely helpful people. In fact, my father is known, I mean, he passed away very early at the age of 45 when I was 17, but I have memories of my father helping people who were not even having, money to have 2 square meals a day, to, sometimes not having clothes, not even having chappals. He used to give them money and tell them to go and buy slippers, provide them with jobs because he was in a bank and he was in a position where he could help them with jobs. And I remember every Raksha Bandhan or every Diwali, we used to have so many people come to our house, even otherwise, when the children did well, because a lot of lives that he had impacted. And my mother definitely supported it and was there with my father along the way because my father came from a very humble background. He was from Mangalore. He had lost his father very early. There were 11 kids.
Oh.
And, literally, I remember him telling us that they used to actually sit below the street lamp and study. And he came to Bombay with 2 pairs of clothes and has stayed in relatives' houses, stayed in, lodges and dormitories, and you know how it was in the olden days. And he started his job in a very humble position of a clerk. And he rose to be the deputy general manager of a bank, heading 13 branches, and he passed away very early because of cardiac arrest. But and my mother also, it's been a very, very difficult journey, but I think both of them together, they were such wonderful human beings and have helped so many people. And I think those blessings have been always there with me and my sister. And I feel somewhere God has, chosen our life. I mean, he has, I don't think we really do anything. It's God who plans the entire thing for you. We're just puppets in his hand, so to say. And I feel that, I feel today I feel very blessed that I'm in a position where God has chosen me to help people. I think that's the best thing, because we have very young children. In fact, yesterday we had a child who was 2 years and diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. We have 8-month-old babies, and looking at the parents, and we know what it is. Parents, it's like an earth-shattering moment for the parents at the diagnosis. And I think at that time, if we are there for these parents, and honestly, it's a very difficult job also because it consumes you. One is that you're doing your job, but also the whole emotional grief that you also go through because you see them crying, you picture yourself in their situation. It's not very easy. You can't be disconnected. At least I cannot be. So you are living that journey with them all through, and every day you see 2 or 3 such kids and parents and families. So one way it is a blessing that we are there to help them, but it does take a little bit of an emotional, because we sometimes need that debriefing because it becomes extremely, extremely difficult on us as well, so to say. It's, I think it's that. And I think also that having the right people in your life, so after my father passed away, I always had that vacuum of a parent. As a father, my mother was always there, and she's been my strongest support system, an extremely strong woman too, so to say, because she became a widow at 40 and she had 2 daughters. I was 17, my sister was 12. And I remember that when my father passed away, people coming home, it was not for a condolence visit. It was more to make us feel that, oh my God, they used to tell my mother, you have 2 daughters. How will you do? How will you manage? And, it was extremely, like, I used to hate it, honestly, because I didn't want that kind of sympathy and, showing us that we are fit for nothing. And in fact, my father's job was offered to me. I mean, obviously not the position, but in the bank, I was studying. So I was studying science, and I was offered that job. And to do like part-time study and part-time work in the bank. And my mother was very clear that no, my daughter will not do it. I want her to focus on her studies. I will work hard and I'll make sure that I educate them. And she did it. She was 40 when she was a widow. And she really worked hard. I know she did double jobs to make sure that we got the best life. And I never really went to work till I didn't finish my post graduation. So she was very, very clear about it. One thing she was very clear about, that if you're studying, you have to put your heart and soul. You have to make sure that you do your best. She was extremely strict that way. Like we can't be very casual about it. But I think today, really, a lot of what whether it's my sister or me, my sister's an engineer and very well settled in Australia. She's a citizen there in Sydney, and I'm here. And I think it's again, it's all due to the upbringing and all the efforts. Of course, my father, but then after that, my mother who carried on. So again, my father was not there. And I was missing that father figure, and that's when Dr. Asgaonkar Abba, he came into my life in 2013. And I think he changed my life forever. He is the person who founded Juvenile Diabetes Foundation, Maharashtra chapter. And but just meeting him and seeing the selfless work he's doing without any, he never really looked at awards. He never really aspired for positions, for Padma Shri, Padma Bhushan, nothing. I think his biggest award were his patients and his children with diabetes, and the amount of love that he had to give. And it was amazing. And I think that really influenced me in a big way. He was my biggest inspiration and my role model, so to say. And today I have decided that I'm going to follow his path and do exactly what would make him happy. And again, what I learned from his life is that your patients, your children with diabetes, they are your biggest a reward and award, so to say. You really don't need to aspire to be famous, etc., etc. The love you get from them, and that is what I have decided that I'm going to also go on that path. But of course, having said that, we do see children with diabetes, but that's not enough, because we have a huge team. It's an organization that I run, and we have to make sure that we meet ends, because today money is so important. So though we do a lot of philanthropic work, to say, but we have to still earn our bread and butter, etc.
Of
So
course.
we do see patients, we see clients with obesity, with other medical conditions, clinical conditions, and we do a lot of other work which helps us do that, so that we can help uh, the less affording or the less privileged lot of people.
I'm the biggest proof of that because, when Gudu was diagnosed, so you know how my life has been like a big roller coaster. You know everything about it. So you have been my biggest support system and your team also. Shifa was there like an angel again because initially for me to digest was very difficult. And after so many prayers, I got her. So I don't know. Okay, the diabetes education and all, okay, but that connection, whatever you said about your parent, I can see that acts in you. That kindness, that love, that affection. You go out of the way, just not taking it as a patient or something, because same thing even I do. Because, I have been diabetic since so many years now. So often sir would call me and say, can you just help these people? They are emotionally broken. I said, anytime you give them my number midnight also, I wouldn't mind. Don't even ask me, because we know what it's to be in that phase.
Exactly.
And I actually got all the support system from you and your team. You have a team of
I still
wonderful,
remember,
beautiful
I didn't
girls.
speak about it, Chanda, but I still remember the first time you came and met us. This was way long ago, even before Guddu was
I
born.
think
And
2015 or
yeah,
16.
and
Yeah.
it's like, we've been there through that entire journey, and then you conceiving Padmaja to today. I mean, it's been wonderful. And honestly, we feel so happy. Every time one of our type ones has a baby, I'm telling you honestly, we feel so happy. In fact, I tell people that I'm not a mother, I'm even a grandmother, because I have so many of my kids with type 1 who are now parents, and I call myself a grandmother, because I'm like, it's so beautiful. What a lovely feeling it is, to see these children. And we only pray for their well-being and happiness and good health. That's all that we pray for. And
Yeah,
we
but
always feel good and happy to be surrounded by them.
But often we get often get a comment, when you know that you're a diabetic, why do you have to be a mother to have one more type 1? I mean,
I
we
know.
don't want it deliberately. It is planned.
Many people will talk, Chanda. What I have realized, and I think that comes with age. You need to know what to choose,
Yeah.
what to listen to, and what not to. You have to just shut your ears to negative comments. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, we do have a lot of people who have a lot of negative things to say because maybe they are not happy with their life and they don't have a purpose in life.
Yeah.
And I think God puts you, He says now that if He puts you into something, He'll also pull you through it. And that's so true. And sometimes I feel that you get your purpose of life. Honestly, one is when you talk about this whole thing about children, I also feel that I went through a phase with my son, which
Mm.
really showed me how important it is for us to really get. Sometimes you don't only need the medication, you need a listening ear, you need someone to tell you everything's going to be all right. And I think that's what most important is. And every time I see parents and they come into the clinic and they're crying, and when they go out there with that broad smile, and especially the broad smile of their children, I'm telling you, that is a day I feel that, every time I see that, and I'm like, always thank God for keeping me out, putting me in a place where I can help people and get this whole kind of, because I feel these blessings will always go a long way. Maybe not to me, but definitely to my children, my son, and his family, maybe in the future. And that's the best feeling ever.
Exactly. I
Honestly.
totally relate
And
to it
today,
because
that has
yeah.
become my world. Honestly, I don't, you know me, I'm not a very, very social person. I don't go for everything because I'm so absorbed and involved in my own life and this small world that I have created for myself, that I'm so happy and so blessed. And I always tell people is practice gratitude because, we keep complaining about such small things in life. And I get very irritated now when people complain about small things because I'm like, you don't even know what are the bigger things.
Exactly, they
And it's
don't know
so
what
sad.
others are going through.
Absolutely. So I think what has really changed, whether it's my team and me, is we really practice gratitude, and we don't take things for granted anymore. So I think it has humbled us in a big way.
You are always humble. I
No, but I
I
think this
mean,
is more humbling. Honestly, no, that is something which has come from my father and my mother. Even today, if you see, I mean, as children, we used to have our dinners and all our meals with our maid of the house. And even today, whether it's my driver or whether it's my maid, my mother will still insist that we all sit on a dining table together. And can you imagine? I mean, even today, which sometimes shocks a lot of people, but that is the way it is for us. So my parents are the most, I think they've been the biggest influence in that sort. There is absolutely no, kind of a thing over there. And it's wonderful. Like yesterday, I was with my day before yesterday, I took in my mother out and we always go for lunch. And I saw how she was forcing my driver to come and have lunch with us. And in a way I felt so good, because this is exactly how you should be. So I think that really comes from them, is to give respect. And I feel only when you give is when you get respect. You can't demand respect. You
absolutely.
can't demand anything unless you don't give it. And this is what I've learned. My father always used to tell me, even the person on the road, or even the person who sweeps the floor, on the road, even that person is important. And you should always keep, because if that person wasn't there, you wouldn't have had the clean streets on the road. So, you should always look at every job as an important job and not look down on any job. And I'm passing on the same thing to my son. And today it feels lovely when parents of kids and the teachers tell me that how lovely he is. I think that's the biggest thing because that is what is passed on from my parents to now my son.
He also loves cooking, right? Because we used to see, we are missing
Oh,
all that now.
I know. We really, I think COVID के वक्त we did a lot of that. बहुत सारा खाना बनाया COVID में because
Yeah.
that was the only way to keep whether it was me busy or him busy because it was very difficult. But unfortunately now he doesn't get so much time. He's in the 10th standard, so it's
Yeah.
a little
Yeah.
tough. But he loves good food, and it's always nice cooking for him, and he's very appreciative. So I'm very happy and blessed that way is that he appreciates and he also knows what I do. So he's been very plugged in right from the time he was a small child. And today, when I talk about my children, sometimes people look at me. In fact, that day I was telling someone, and my husband said, "You must tell them that you have only one child. And what you're talking about, my children are all your type 1 children." Because that fellow kept looking at me and he's like, "Okay, how many?" Because my team is my children. And then it's my type ones who are my children. So I keep saying my children, and people look at me like, "How many children does she have?"
Yeah.
So that's how it is. So my team is also like my children because most of them are my students, and then they've been working with me. So I know them from college days. So it's so much of fun that we have. And it's one big happy family, touch wood. We just enjoy our time. Our lunch times are the best times,
Hmm.
and it's wonderful.
Yeah, I know. In fact, I've been missing to come there. Every time I
I
have
know
a talk
next
with
time
you all,
should
and
let me know. Yeah.
I should come, like, and we should meet up. Ho jayega. After rains, I will surely plan because I want you all to see
After
Padmaja how naughty she's become.
But you must tell me definitely in advance. I should be there, but definitely you should come.
No, no, I
We
will
are
come
there.
first. I will take your appointment, then come because I know you're too
Yeah.
busy.
Yeah. That's the
Okay,
only thing
so
that work takes me a lot
yeah,
of travel because of work.
yeah, you travel a lot, I know. So how do you manage the travel and work and family together?
I think Chanda, again, like I said, my father has sent my husband for me. I always say that. Because today, when I see sometimes my team members tell me we have to take permission and, this and that, honestly, it never happened in my marriage. Peter was always my best friend even before I got married. So, we had that kind of an equation. He himself is a doctor, so he understands the demands of the job. And I think that mutual respect is always there. And I've never had restrictions. In fact, I've only grown as a person as well as professionally after I've been married. I married very early. In fact, today also I think of, when I look at my team, I'm like, oh my God, I was married so early. I was engaged at 22, I was married at 23. And a lot of people say that, I was cradle snatched. But I was so happy and it wasn't easy because when we got married, we all thought it's going to be a very, very hunky dory life. And you only look at all the positives and the fairy tale that marriage has brings with it. But the thing is, as soon as I got married, I realized, okay, now I know house to stay. And we didn't have a roof on our head. So honestly, we stayed in my mother's house after marriage for 6 months. And then we took a place on rent. And but it was a struggle. I remember doing 3 4 jobs in a day. Like I used to literally leave home at 8:45. I used to take that 9 o'clock a fast train from Malad, and you know how it is in Mumbai train. Well, you can fall out of the train anytime. I almost missed losing my life also.
Oh.
Reach a place and then walk to that clinic, do that clinic from 10 to quarter to 12, then 12 to 2 another clinic. So walk again. And then from 2 o'clock, I used to go to another place in, a little away. But yeah, I had to take a train journey and then work there till around 5:30. Then go to another place, which was 1 hour away, where I used to live. And then do another clinic between 5 and 8 p.m and then come home. So literally, out of the house for 12 hours doing 4 different jobs. And at that time, doing those 4 different jobs, I used to earn barely 15 to 17,000 a month. And my house rent at that point was 7,000.
Oh.
Okay. So you can imagine it was difficult. And then my husband was on the rigs. He used to be out every alternate month. But honestly, when I look back at all those struggles, and imagine I was only 23, 24. In fact, we made our first house at the age I was 24. And it's been only a lot of hard work. And but God has been extremely kind. He's really blessed as well. And today we are both touch wood in good positions. And travel has that's why been a part of my job because if I had to do well and I needed the money, honestly, because we were both on our own, we had to do it. And I that's why also I had my son very late. I had my son after 8 to 9 years of marriage because I couldn't afford my son, being very honest. So, my mother, I remember, used to bring at home, I used to see fertility statue. I didn't know what they meant till somebody came and told me, oh, there's a fertility statue or something because some friend of hers has given her something and she used to think, oh my God, she's having trouble conceiving. So she used to bring things and park and keep them in my house. And I wouldn't know what they meant till somebody told me about it. And honestly, I wanted to have a child when I was prepared financially because I think that's most important. And I wasn't ready. And I moved into a job which was a lot of travels. I was actually, doing like at Johnson and Johnson, I was responsible for professional education for west part of India. So that meant Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, Goa, Gujarat. So literally traveling 20 days in a month. Then I used to travel by train. So sometimes 18 hours by train, 21 hours by train, hopping from one city to another. It was a lot of travel. And we had to do it because that was, required because I had EMIs to pay. And of course, we had to build something up. And at that time, even today, when I look back, I'm like, how did I do it? I really can't imagine because taking a train at 4 in the morning, landing up, 12 in the night, as to board a train, always late, reaching some odd hours at 4 o'clock in the morning with two, trolley bags, and then going to a hotel, staying and doing all of that, giving lectures the whole day. But that was a lovely working experience. And again, I thought that when I start out on my own, my travel will cut down, but honestly, it hasn't cut down. If you see, I travel every weekends. In fact, come Friday and I'm out somewhere because there are conferences happening and job requires me to travel. But honestly, between my husband and myself, the only thing that we actually do is we plan each other's, I mean, we plan our schedules based on each other's availability at home. So one thing is for sure, that my son is never left alone at home. It's either him or me, always with him. So, that is one thing. So if I have to travel, I will call him up and say, okay, these are the dates I'm traveling. Will you be there in Bombay? And same thing he will do. So that is how we adjust our calendars. We make sure that we are there with our son. One of us is there. And and if a situation arises where both of us have to travel, then my mother will definitely come in and be there with my son. So we make sure that we do that. And we also spend a lot of quality time together. We believe in a lot of we just take off for the weekend somewhere, or we will take off for a small holiday, but we uh, spend a lot of our time with our child as well. So we make sure that we are spending quality time. I think that's most important, because sometimes people look down on people who are working, who are traveling, especially women, because they feel that, she is not spending enough time with her family child. She's neglecting her child. People will keep talking.
Yes, yes.
But I always feel that nobody comes and manages your house, right? Nobody is there to financially help you. And if you want to give the best to your family, you have to work hard. And
Yes.
I think if we are talking about gender parity, honestly, gender parity hai hi nahi hamare country mein. There is no gender parity. We talk about it, we celebrate Women's Day, we do a lot of things, but the woman is still expected to do a lot of things in most households. So,
Absolutely.
I don't know, but I think we as parents, at least for me, I think I'm in a very responsible situation where I am a mother to a boy. So I have to make sure that at least with my son, I try and get some gender parity when he has a partner. That he knows that it's okay for his wife to go to work. It's okay for him. At least in my house, it's like that. My husband will do the dishes, and my son knows that, okay, if Dada is doing the dishes, it's not a big deal. We both do. My husband cooks very.
We were talking about the travels and all.
Yeah, so part of my life. In fact, I was telling my team, I said, I remember the first time I traveled, after I had Ethan, it was when Ethan was barely 4 or 5 months. And I remember, I mean, I was still feeding him. And it was so difficult because, I was traveling to Udaipur, and I had to go to the bathroom and express. And, it was so difficult. But honestly, I still traveled because I've always believed in being in working, and I think that again comes from my mother, because I saw that, my father passed away very early, and thankfully my mother was working, because otherwise it would have been very difficult. So one thing my mother has always been very clear about is that you should be financially independent, and it is so ingrained in us that we can't think of life without a job. I mean, I can't think of life. And of course, if you want, to give the best to your child and to give the best to your family, I think in today's world, it's so important that both husband and wife work.
Yes, yes, yes.
I mean, I have the highest respect for people who are homemakers, honestly, because it's not easy. I feel at least we come out, we interact with people and everything. So, it's much easier. But people who are at home, obviously, they take them, a lot of family members take them for granted, but I salute them because it's the most difficult job. You ask me to be a
I am
homemaker, I will not.
lately I am in that category
Yeah.
because I've
So, I mean,
always been a
salute to
working
all the
woman.
homemakers.
I've always been a working woman. Every morning I make they get shouting from me. Just because I'm sitting at home doesn't mean that I'm just idle, doing nothing. Because I also do this millets cutting, I do
Yeah.
healing and stuff, and taking care of her is also pick her, drop her, look
But
after her
what happens,
homework.
Chanda, is when you're at home, no, they feel like you should be available. We had this problem. COVID में तो कितने लोग आके रोते थे, so many women used to actually break down during our consults because they were at home and the husband is also at home, but the mother-in-law, people used to expect her to leave her meeting and come and serve food or dry the clothes, and they never really understood that even the woman, because वर्कप्लेस में कोई देखता नहीं है कि लेडी है कि whether it's a man, right? It's equal. So you can't go with your excuses at work. You can't. If you're expected to be at a meeting or contribute, you're supposed to be there. But that's what I said, no, कि gender parity है नहीं
You
बहुत
know,
सारे
I,
घरों में.
I actually forgot to get ready since I became a homemaker. I
Exactly.
stopped
And that's
getting
why I
ready. I
feel,
stopped loving myself. I always tell my husband, what am I doing? I don't even get ready. I'm just in that, simple घर का dress. I don't comb my
नहीं
hair.
वही
I'm just
होता
sitting,
है.
doing nothing.
नहीं,
ये
इसके
काम
लिए I
करती हूँ
love
बाद
coming
में.
to work.
Yeah, you actually you love yourself when you're working also and taking care of it. And that it's a very different scenario when you just
It's a
sit at
balance.
home.
क्योंकि if
Yeah.
you're at home, na Chanda, what I have noticed is there is no end time. क्योंकि you are trying to manage both. So you are sitting and working also late. You're not really giving quality time. You're getting irritated also. क्योंकि
Yes.
आप बीच बीच में उठ रहे हो, फिर आपकी मतलब आपको काम भी करना है, फिर वो you're not able to give quality time to anything, whether it's your work or even to your, you're not able to do justice. When
Yes.
you come to work, one is you dress up, you start feeling good. नहीं तो आप वो नाइटी में या पजामे में बैठे रहते हो पूरा दिन.
Hmm.
And coming out, meeting people, talking, interacting, even doing lunch together as a team, I
Yes.
feel it really makes you. So honestly, I'll tell you, COVID में हम लोग ने ऑफिस बंद किया था because we were not coming to office. तो हम लोग घर से काम कर रहे थे. तो we all women, I mean, we are a all women team, you know that.
Yeah.
So we were all working from home, and my team was actually after me कि madam please अभी office शुरू करो, because they were finding it difficult. See, because not everybody lives in big spacious houses also. Sometimes some of them are in a one bedroom, some of them are in one room. एंड फिर वो बहुत मुश्किल हो रहा है क्योंकि क्लाइंट के साथ तो जूम पे ही काम बात करना है.
Yes.
But then,
Yes.
in the background, you have your full family and all that. And that time we realized that, why we need to come to work and how important it is to come out of the house for your mental health. Whatever little you earn, I feel a woman should somewhere look for a part time or something that keeps her busy. Whether you need the money or you don't need the money. Because I've seen a lot of women, I mean, with all due credit, that sometimes they decide to be homemakers, but they're not happy being it. I always tell people, when you decide to do something, you should be happy that you're doing it. If I've decided to work, and I know each one has their own challenges. Okay, I'm a working woman, but I know at home also cook nahi aati hai. Like last few days, I've not had my maid. I'm going home and doing jhadu also, and I'm cooking also and doing everything. But that's the choice I have made. I should feel happy about it because I have decided I cannot crib about it. And
Yes.
same thing goes for a homemaker. You can't be like, okay, कि अभी मुझे घर पे बैठना है, but then my husband comes from work and then I'm nagging him because I'm not happy that I'm sitting at home. Because even they are working and coming. So I feel that whatever you do, you should be happy and you should be content with. If you start blaming people or you start nagging or start cribbing, then that is not doing good. You're creating a very negative atmosphere at work. At work also, at home also,
At home.
depending on where you are. So you should be happy with what you do. And that's the most important. And make yourself a priority. I always tell women, पहले अपने को priority बनाओ. Whether it's your workouts, whether it is taking care of your health, whether it is doing things you enjoy doing. Because if you are happy, your family will be happy. And that
Absolutely.
is most important, which we sometimes, we women are that, I don't know what, we love to sacrifice. We always love to, like, we put ourselves on the back seat. And we realize that very late, that, oh, what have we done? I see a lot with, when older women come to us because they've sacrificed their full life for their children. And then their children move out. And then they realize, oh my God, I don't have friends. I don't have a social circle. I don't have anyone. My husband doesn't have time for me. And they go into depression. And they say, I wish I had not done what I did. But it's too late. I mean, obviously, you can always pick up from where you are. But what I'm trying to say is, I think we women should not feel guilty. Honestly, I remember that I have been told, when Ethan was very small by a lot of women that you should leave your job while you're working. You should give full time to Ethan. He needs you. And you are doing wrong by doing this because, they require you. And I never listened because I was very convinced I need to work. I believe in it. And today I'm so glad I did not listen because, at least today I have an identity of my own, I have a life of my own. And my son feels very proud to see where I am today. Every time I am doing something, and in fact, sometimes it's quite embarrassing, but you look at my son in the school, and every essay that he has to write on his role model, it's always about me. And in fact,
That's
today
good.
now my husband has warned him that you're not going to do this again. And his teachers feel so amazed because I don't think he can see beyond his mother at times. And that's very lovely because all the sacrifices that you have made, it's not easy to be away from your child when he's 4 months and 1 year. You have to leave and go. It's not easy,
Mm.
and being away for months together. But today, my son sees that, my mother, whatever time that she's there, it's only with him. I really don't go out too much. Even if I have to plan something, I plan it with him because I believe that whatever time I have to, try and make sure that I'm giving him
Your
enough time.
lunch
Of course, there are
dates and
times
the
and everything.
coffee dates and
Yeah,
all
you
that.
know that. It's always there, like we love our time together and he also enjoys. We're very similar in a lot of ways. We love the same things. So it's fun. So this is my message I would say to all women that, I always tell my team also. There'll be people who'll always tell you, but you listen to your conscience. You listen to what your inner self tells you and your conscience tells you and do exactly that.
Absolutely.
Don't let others tell you what, because then you've lost the plot completely. And then you will regret it all your life. There'll be a lot of hardships. It's not easy because, in our country, we're so maid dependent, we are cook dependent, we're dependent on a lot of people. So
Yeah.
if they don't come, then, it's difficult. Like there have been times when I remember Ethan was small. I've had a meeting and the maid has messaged me saying, no, I'm not coming to work from today. And then I'm like, oh my God, now what do I do? Or the maid has, left opened the door and gone, and the door is left open and she has left the job for whatever reasons. I'm not going to dwell into that deep in detail, but and I have a meeting to attend and I'm working. It's not even my own company at that time. I was working for someone. And like, now what do I do? So, such situations you will, and it's always the woman sometimes who's expected to be there because sometimes even the man may have an important meeting. So, or he may not be at home, considering my husband travels, etc. Then those situations have been there. But you should not allow that. So you have to keep talking and you have to keep talking to other women. Like in my office, I'm like that, mother. I always say my team comes to office. It's like their Micah. They come to their mother's house. It's like that, and they love it because they'll come, they'll tell me everything, and we do discuss, we do give our suggestions, and we try and I think that's a very positive, and it's not only me, it's all of us, and it's amazing. The
How
kind
did
of
you
work.
get this idea of all the women in under one roof? How
No,
does it go?
honestly, I'll tell you, Chanda, it's again because dietitians are mostly women.
Yeah.
So that's how it's all women team. And we've had some men, but my team has never allowed the men to be there. The only man who's allowed in the clinic is my driver. Other than him, there's no man actually there. So it's like woman power to
Yeah.
its this, but it's amazing. They're all lovely women, and we have all age groups. We have right starting from 20 to 50, now reaching 50. So it's
Wow.
amazing because you always feel young with all of them. They keep you young. They're so bustling with energy, ideas, and there's so much of fun also. We
I
go
see the
out as a team.
celebrations also, the
Oh
marriages
my
and the
God.
birthdays and everything. It's all fun to look at.
Yeah, yeah. We celebrate every birthday. We do one picnic out a year where we go together as a team. We stay together. We do lunches, we do dinners. You should see our lunches in office. In fact, it's everybody will make something. It's like a potluck every day. So it's good. It's good fun. We work also very hard.
Yeah,
But that
that's
half an hour that we take that lunch break is our time. And I don't believe that only two people should go and eat together and the other should work. No. Our lunch break is where we all will take that, half an hour together as a team. Even I will sit with them and we all share our lunch and we'll discuss things and it's fun time. So we believe, I always believe that you can't make life so boring. You have to, because there is enough. There's so much already, each one goes through their own grief
Yes,
and
yes.
stress. And especially in a job like ours, where we are dealing a lot with, you know, the, with
Emotional
sugar
ज़्यादा
numbers.
है.
Emotional बहुत होता है. Like, wake up with sugar numbers, we sleep with sugar numbers. Somebody's getting up with high sugar, somebody's going into hypoglycemia, somebody is getting admitted. Like right now, I have a child, unfortunately, who's had a brain hemorrhage and is in the hospital. So honestly, and when you know them from childhood, it's very difficult, honestly. But there is somewhere where we also have to draw the line, because it's becomes very difficult for us also,
Mm.
so it's not easy. Initially it used to affect me a lot. Right now, maybe with age, also some kind of, you understand that you know how to deal with situations. And that's it. Sometimes I may not be accessible and available to everybody. People misunderstand at times. But honestly, there is only so much that I can give, right? Because I have so much other things also. So I always tell people, I'm a call away. You need anything, I'm always there. So don't expect that, I may not reach. I have not reached out to you, because I'm in my own world with so many different things happening, and balancing professional and home, and then a lot of other things that I do. I'm a part of a lot of associations, but I'm doing a lot of honorary work. So, those meetings end up sometimes at 10:30, 11 o'clock in the night. So I go home and I'm logging into meetings, and sometimes one meeting after the other. But that's the life I've chosen, and I'm very blessed because I have lovely mentors. God has sent such beautiful souls in my life who are shaping my life. And, I've realized that, I want to be like them. And they're lovely people. So, really being blessed with beautiful people, and seniors who I know, are the people that I can look up to and, maybe follow their path,
Okay,
because they're really doing
we
amazing.
would also like to know about your book, Diet and Diabetes Simplified. How did this
Yeah.
idea come?
Oh, that's lovely. See, one is that I run, I do something called CANC on Facebook. I don't know if you know, it's called Campaign Against Nutrition Quacks and Courses. Because honestly, there's so much which is there on social media, that बहुत सारा घी खाओ, बहुत सारा ये खाओ. मतलब, there is so much of misinformation also, which is there, which often leaves people confused. Ki, what is the right thing to do? And nutrition, mein everybody has a say. Everybody will have some opinion. So I remember I used to keep going to Dr. Asgaonkar Abba, who's my mentor, and tell him that, this and that. And he says, Sheryl, you always talk about it. Why don't you come out with a book and tell the facts? Why don't you do it? And I was writing, honestly, I had a very rough period in the year 2013. I was working for a startup, and that startup really didn't do well. So, I was told to work only alternate days because they could not pay me my salary. And I was like, what do I do with that time? I want to do something, and I always like to be busy. So I decided to do some writing. I used to love writing. I still love writing. I write poetries also, so I love doing that. I keep dabbling into something or the other. And at that time, I started writing. So this was 2013, and obviously, it was difficult. So I used to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning and start writing, etc. And I knew it was my father's 25th death anniversary coming. It was in the year 2000 and, sorry, when was it? 25th, he passed away 2021, I think, I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
after coming
I
back
just,
to India, I got this copy.
yeah, you remember, right? That's the time. Dude, this is post-COVID, actually, it
Yes,
happened.
yes. I came
Okay,
back to
no,
India
I
in
tell you what, it was
2020.
2019, I think, because he passed away in 95. 2020 was his 25th death anniversary. And before that, I was discussing with Abba, and Abba knew I was writing this book, and I was taking too long because, guidelines keep changing. So much of new research happening, and I used to keep going back and doing a lot of edits. And then I told Abba, I remember discussing with him, and I said, I want to release this book on my father's death anniversary, because that's the best tribute I can give my father. Because, uh, and I had decided, and I still do it. So I had decided to pledge. I wanted to definitely do something for the children with diabetes who are needy, because we get some children, who are from such low socioeconomic families. Somebody's a bhelpuri vendor, somebody's, a peon, with two, three children, family. They can't afford 2 square meals at times. And we get these children, and sometimes even buying insulin and everything is so expensive. So I had decided, to pledge whatever money comes out of the book to, providing these, whether it's insulin, whether it's paying fees, whether it's whatever for for these children. And I thought the best way to do it is through the book. One is that I'm educating people. Today a lot of dietitians are referring to it, a lot of doctors refer to it wherever I go in the world also today. I have people coming to me with a book and I feel so happy and I'm like, wow. And that was my thing. And I remember discussing with Dr. Gaonkar and he said, you're sure you want to do it so early? At this age, you want to do this? Why don't you I know you have loans to pay, etc. Why don't you do that first? Write the book, whatever comes. I said, no, Abba. I said, whatever I have decided, I have decided. The money coming from the book will only go to charity. And that's when I started a foundation in my father's name on his 25th death anniversary. And we have pledged this money to this. Through this foundation, we are paying for children's insulin, we buy strips, we pay school fees, sometimes hospitalization cost also, if required. I mean, not too much of it, but whatever. And I'm telling you, in the last, whatever, now it's going to be 4 years, we've been able to support so many families and kids. So I think that's again God's way of, I think again this entire thing is orchestrated with God by God. And honestly, I wanted to release the book on Abba's birthday in the year 2020, which happens to be on World Health Day. But there was this type one, who was very close to me. She was like Abba's adopted daughter. She's an orphan herself and type one, and she lives in Australia. And she was starting the foundation, Type 1 Foundation of India. And she said, do you want to release the book over there? And I said, no, Bhimaka, how can I release it? It's still under proofreading. It's not ready. She said, no, no, you do one thing. You get only 7, 8 copies and do it. I said, okay, let me speak to my printer because Abba was also coming. And there was a big event in Bangalore with the chief minister and member of parliament and all of that. And I spoke to my printer and we took 8 copies. Honestly, the book wasn't ready because inside, the fonts, everything. And I was like, oh my God, if somebody goes to read the book, it is not ready. And we released the book there in front of all the type ones. Abba spoke about the book and everything. And this happened on the 1st of March. 18th of March, lockdown was announced. 23rd March, I think. 18th was that whole COVID thing happened. And if I had not released the book on the 1st of March, we would never have the launch of the book on April, on Abba's birthday. And Abba passed away that same year in August. So again, can you see that God planned this whole thing through Bhimaka?
Yes.
Others where it was just not, and it got the best release because it happened in front of all the T1D kids and parents and everybody who was so dear to me. And I had not told anyone. In fact, you won't believe my family was not there for the book launch. My own husband, my son, my mother, nobody was there. This is such a last minute thing. And I didn't even know how the book would do. And then, the book reading happened and they wanted Dr. Mohan to read the book and Dr. Mohan loved it. He wrote the foreword for the book. And then people, so many people, my mentors came ahead and wrote forewords for the book. And today it's got awards. And it's one of the most read books by whether it's patients or whether it's dietitians, doctors. And again, I feel it's God's, it's
Because see,
completely God's will.
when for type ones we look for diet or something, no, Indian diet पे कोई touch नहीं करता है.
Going.
Biggest
And honestly,
struggle.
that's why it took time, Chanda.
Yeah.
Because you know what? I spoke to a lot of publishers. Some of them took 6 months to get back. And that's why it took so long. Imagine from 2013 to 2020. Because the publisher would then come back and say, no, no, we don't want an Indian specific book. And I was very clear, I want an Indian specific.
Yeah.
मुझे Indian के लिए ही करना है because there are a lot of Western books. There are a lot of books across. But we don't have anything, something which is India specific.
क्योंकि Indians, we have so many varieties. We are
Exactly.
loaded
And
with food actually.
and we are so different. We are
Yeah.
so different to the
Yes.
Westerners. We cannot follow what they do.
Yes, we cannot.
Even their guidelines, we can follow the guidelines, but we definitely have to have it customized for the Indians because they're so different. We are very different people. We have so much of diversity in our own country, whether it's north, south, east. central part of India, even every household will cook a recipe, and they have each thing is so unique, and you
Yeah.
can't have one size fits all. It doesn't work here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even the socioeconomic status. We have the extremely rich, which you have seen recently, to some people who don't even afford two square meals. Then you
Yes.
cannot have the same thing, right? You can't. You can't tell somebody who's very poor to eat broccoli and bell peppers and quinoa because they can't even
Yeah.
afford rice and dal.
Yeah.
It has to be so customized, and all these things play a huge role. And every child's routine, every person's routine is so different. Some people do shift duties, some people do, they travel. So everything has to be taken into account.
Yeah.
And so that's where the book, I mean, it's 4 years now. Hopefully, I'm planning to come out with something else also. I don't know. I should get the
Let me
time
know.
right
I'll
now.
be the first one to buy.
Yeah, I'm so
Advanced booking.
focused on Ethan's education at the moment that
That's the most
I'm going
important.
to take some time. Yeah,
And
because
one
I
more
think that's my
thing, the
priority.
last question now about your show, the cooking show. I missed that because
Oh,
I was not
that's
able to
excellent.
access it.
I know. So that was another good thing that happened. So, I got approached by Food Channel, and they were doing some kind of shows with chefs. So one was the health magazine. So I did a couple of shows for them, and then came the Health Mangemo, which was with Vicky Ratnani. So I did, I think, 12 to 13 shows. It was a wonderful experience. It was different. It was a lot of long shooting hours, but it did give you a lot of visibility, and people were like, wow, and it was a good experience. And then I did one show with Chef Chino, which is on the Tiffin Box, and so that was great. I mean, different, because again, food, and you're talking about the health benefits of ingredients used, etc., but also to look at the passion that these chefs have towards cooking, and how do we make the food healthy by using good healthy ingredients from the kitchen. So it was again a wonderful experience. I mean, it was good. And again, वहाँ पे बहुत सारा हिंदी बात करना था, because obviously it was for the Indian audience. So that was a little bit of a struggle, though I speak Hindi, but but it was overall a very good experience. It was nice, and people loved it. People were waiting. In fact, I remember people used to, like, at that time, log in on or switch on the TV at that time. And my mother was most excited because to see her daughter on TV, I think she was the proudest mother. And today, I mean, as I told you, when my father passed away, it wasn't easy. And today she feels so proud that both her children, both her daughters, I mean, are so well settled, and it's wonderful. I mean, I think
I
that's the
feel,
best
I feel, in
gift
fact,
to give
daughters are the
your.
best. My
Oh my
experiences,
God.
daughters are the best.
I always wanted a
I
daughter.
don't have any negative comments over male boys or sons, but you know that actually we prove ourselves because the society doesn't allow us for an opportunity, but we do our best to prove that way. I
I
meant
remember
that way.
when Ethan was born, I was very sad. I was so sure it's a girl. In fact, my mother was so sure it's a girl that my mother I had bought dresses for girls, for a girl child. That when it was a boy, we didn't even have like clothes for him because we were so sure it was a girl. And everybody who saw me, all the experts who can predict what the stomach is looking like, whether it's a girl or a boy, everybody said it's a girl, and it happened to be a boy. And I remember telling the doctor on the OT table, I'm like, "Are you sure? Just check, just check." She said, "I can see." And I was so sad, and my sister was so sad. My sister like, "Oh my God, how do I shop now for him?" And we both have got boys today, so she
Yeah.
also has a boy. But honestly, I felt, yes, that girls are beautiful. I always would want a girl, but having had a boy now, and I feel he's amazing. I mean,
He's a
he's
super
very
wonderful
loving.
child. Very caring,
Absolutely.
very
So
loving.
I don't now miss out on a girl, though I miss out on dressing, because you know how boys, they just want to wear their jeans and they don't care about clothes. So I do miss dressing up a girl. I would always have loved to do that because I myself like it.
You already said that you are mother to so many girls, the type ones and
Yeah,
what
but
have
in my
you.
office I have, and then I have some of my team members have daughters. So it's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think again, you have to be happy and blessed with what God gives you. So that's
You
been a
you
wonderful thing. Yeah.
you deserve it all. You've had a very wonderful journey. You've never given up, and that's a real inspiration because I've seen you for so many years, and I always feel so proud to see you grow. Your
Yeah.
humbleness, your love, your care. There's a special place in my heart for you, and even my daughter. Although she's not met you, but then she knows you. Maybe the heart connection,
Yeah,
because I remember
I know that's
when
there.
I delivered. I will tell you the story today on public platform. I warned everybody that nobody has to put it on FB or something. But after few days, when I got bit normal, I saw a message on Facebook. I said, मैंने सबको फोन किया कि इसकी हिम्मत हुई करने की. Then I realized a beautiful angel who was so happy that she put it on the Facebook page that she's delivered a baby girl. I could feel the emotion. I mean, I was in tears कि कोई इतना आपसे प्यार कर सकता है. So
No, no, I tell you, now, it's, as I said, it's been wonderful. And when my type ones have kids, Chanda, it's a different thing. Honestly, because I know how it is. How many type 1 girls have been told that they can't conceive? And I think that's the biggest pressure. It's for them, it's like a victory that, I have had a child because they've only been told what they cannot do. So honestly, I live that journey with every type 1, managing all my mothers. It's been wonderful. So I think that's again a beautiful relationship that I think we all are bonded with. I have I have another type 1 who's got twins and so many others that we know of. And it's lovely. Like I love to see their children's pictures, how they're growing up and how beautifully they're doing, and it's wonderful. And as I said, sometimes also, Chanda, I would say is that people always talk about their successes because on social media you can't talk about failures. Nobody talks about their failures.
yes, yes,
And I feel it is so important, and that's what I'm going to do next, is talk about all my failures. And I feel that's important because to fail in a way is, I mean, when after that is to get up and work hard and make sure that you succeed. I think that's most important. And failure is going to be there, but I think it only makes you stronger.
yes.
And I always say that when God doesn't give you something because He has bigger and better plans for you, we don't understand it then. And honestly, I've had a lot of failures. Like I'm telling you, every time, like when, as I said, when I got married, we had nothing. We were down like from having, my father had 3 cars, and then my we downsized it, and my mother always, even for us, she had a driver in a car. And then when I got married, I was number 11, walking everywhere, even saving that 50 paisa for the bus. I remember, and I used to be walking so that even that 50 paisa and 1 rupee I save, and that's how we managed. To today again, life has been great and whatever. But and there has been a lull. Again in 2013, I was at my rock bottom. 2009, in fact, when Ethan was born, the downsizing of my company happened, J&J. They were downsizing people, and luckily I landed up with a good job after that. And then again in 2013, the startup that I was working with didn't do well. So again, I had no job, and again to struggle, and I was not getting a job anywhere. And that's how NHS was born. Nurture Health Solutions was born because I was not getting a job anywhere. I literally reached places where, it was finalized. And then they said, oh, sorry, there's a freeze in position. And that's how NHS started because I was very, very unsure of not getting a salary. I was like, no, I need a job. And one thing led to another. Today, it's like what, 11 years of NHS and a stronger team doing great work. I never even thought about it. I was never like, even my family, nobody's into business. Nobody understands business acumen. My mother never understood what I did because every time she told me, this premium is due, and I would say, oh, I don't have money. And this thing is due, and I would say, I don't have money. She's like, what are you doing? Kind of a thing. She never understood it. Long working hours, she's so used to it. So that it was very difficult, and everybody I knew, like some people thought I would not do well, I would fail. They didn't see that, and even I didn't have that thing that I would ever venture into something of my own. But again, it was God's plan.
See,
And today when I look back,
the sun is also giving you the light that, yeah, you're still shining
yeah.
and you have a lot more to shine.
And I remember talking to a friend of mine, and he was a business associate, work associate, and he told me, he said, give it 1 year. If nothing works out, you can always come back, because I was definitely not sure. And one thing led to another. So I've had a lot of lows, which nobody talks about, because sometimes you don't talk about those things. Those things are not celebrated on social media. You only talk about this award and this thing you do and that thing you do. And that creates even more anxiety among people because there's somebody else who's not really doing that. And they see it. And that's why nowadays you see, I don't put so much of that because I'm like, no, I want to now start talking about, overcoming those struggles.
So next time we are
And
going
I
to
think
have your
that
show on overcoming the struggles.
I think that's most important. I
We
would
will do
love to
that.
do that because that's very important because
If-
nobody knows that aspect. They just say, oh, she's very lucky. Oh, she's there.
Yes.
But nobody knows what took you to be there. And I
Yes.
think that's so important that you've had your own journey, you've had your own life. I mean, tomorrow, there could have been times I remember that I'd shut myself in a room, completely depressed, not even going out because I didn't know what life has in store for me. But then it was my husband who was my rock solid support at that time. I didn't have money to pay my team. He used to deposit an amount every month into my account so that I feel less pressured. So each one of us needs somebody else to tell you and have faith in you and your capabilities and tell you, no, you're going to do it. No, you're going to do well and help you rise up and, stand again and fight it out. And every day is a struggle, every single day. And in an entrepreneur's life, it's always a struggle,
Yes.
because it's only amount is debited, debited, debited. So every time there's a credit, there's a debit also. So it's
Yes.
never like you feel happy, okay, salary is, credited in your account. You don't have that. But then that's the way it is, that whole thing keeps you going. And I love that whole stress and the adrenaline rush. You just love it.
Yeah, that's the way life is, right? It's all ups and downs, and
I
what
think,
I have learned in my life, whatever I've been through, it's only made me stronger. You've seen, you remember the first time I met you, I was crying so
yeah.
much. Now today, if you tell me I will not cry, I will start laughing over what was there in the
Yeah,
past.
absolutely. Like today, when I think of how I used to work, I sometimes show my son, I'm like, I used to walk from year to year, year to year, go in trains. I remember leaving the first job that I had, a 9 o'clock job, was only because I missed falling out of the train. If somebody had not given me their hand, I would have been on the tracks. I was in the air. And I don't know which person gave me the hand. And that's when I decided I can't do this morning job of that 10 o'clock job. And I quit the job because I would have lost my life because Malad to Bombay Central, that train journey used to be hard. And I'm not extremely tall. So, people around me get suffocated, sometimes faint in the train. All that has happened.
Yeah.
But, and it's nice because today you're self-made. You're completely made on your own. I've not had a godfather. I chose to take my time. I didn't really go the easy way out. I decided to work hard. And I think what keeps you going is your passion, your drive, your enthusiasm, and your never say die attitude. I think that's the most important, or I never give up. Like even my team knows, they'll say if you are wanting something, you will make sure it
We'll make
happens.
it.
And I'm like that. I mean, my husband is quite fed up of me that way because I'm always very ambitious. I'm always like, okay, what next? And he's very different. But that's how it is. It's a good balance. And I'm a risk taker, complete risk taker.
So now,
I love the adventure.
what is your last message for our people?
I think enjoy life, work hard, and make yourself a priority. I would say for all the women for sure, and even men. I think first is health as well. First is prioritize your health. I know there's a lot that happens, and in that 24 hours, if you can't give 1 hour to yourself, do what you like to do. And I think, don't get into this rat race. Plan your own thing, carve a niche for yourself, maybe do something very different and, you know, pave a way for others to follow. I think that is most important. Like I got into type 1 diabetes and nobody else was doing type 1. And
Yes.
today I am known internationally for type 1 diabetes. I'm also on advisory groups of international organizations. But had I gone to the straight route, it wouldn't have reached me where I am today. So, take risk, but take calculated risk. Starts, even if you're an entrepreneur and want to start something, always start slow. And I always believe in that 1,000 days of life we have. Like before conception to 2 years of the baby. Those are the most important time. So even in business or any work you do, there's 1,000 days. That's your incubation period. That's the time. So you will start reaping the benefits or the profits only after that. So patience is the name of the game. And I also believe that one has to be a stable working person and one can take risk. Like,
Absolutely.
that is what I always believe. A lot of people want to start business and then everybody wants to. I say no. There has to be one stable factor,
Yeah.
and then one person can do that. That ways you are able to take those risks that is required and enjoy life, I think, and practice gratitude and make sure that you make this world a happy, brighter place. There's enough grief in our life. Don't give more grief. So I think just that. Connect with people who match your vibe, and who don't,
Stay
disconnect.
away.
And it's
Stay
okay.
away.
Yeah, it's okay. And don't listen to anything that people have to say. You have to tell yourself, and you have to be sure of what you want. That's what I've done, being deaf to people. They say, there was somebody who was climbing up, and people kept telling him, don't, don't, don't. And he still climbed up. And then they realized that he was deaf
Mm.
because he couldn't hear them. So he climbed up and he made it. So I
Become
think
deaf
that is a way to go.
where needed.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. That's been such a wonderful session. I've taken lots of your time, and I know that you have
My
appointments now.
pleasure.
And I'm really, really very thankful to you for giving me this wonderful interview, sharing your life journey. And I'm sure people will get lots of motivation listening to you. And surely soon we will have your next show, How to Face the Failures, whenever you are
I
free.
would love to do it. Absolutely.
Thank you
Thank
so
you so
much.
much, and
Thank you
a
so much.
wonderful
Lots of love and
Bye.
lots of gratitude. Thank you. Bye.